Good morning or afternoon, depending on what part of the country you're in. Agents from across the country. Today is, make sure I get the date right, it is December 3rd, I believe, 2015, and this is our 53rd Mastermind call. So this is officially starts our second year of doing these calls, and I really appreciate the great turnout today. Just to reiterate what I was just saying before I turned the recording on, y'all are muted out. If anybody has a comment, question, success story, anything that they want to share with the group or anything they would like the group to help them with, just hit *6 and then hit the pound sign. Or is it *6 and pound or *6 and, yeah, *6, no, *6 and the number 1, I'm sorry. Hit *6 and then hit the number 1. We have had agents in the past tell us for whatever reason, maybe you're on a voice over IP, I'm not really sure why, that you were not able to get into the queue. So just as a backup, if you're trying to ask a question and I'm not acknowledging you, text me on my cell phone and I'll look at your phone number and I'll unmute you. My cell phone is 954-328-9370. So if you hit *6 and 1 and it doesn't work for some reason, text 954-328-9370. We don't want to let any questions go unanswered.
Hey, Jim, tell them, and the point is, it's hit *6 and listen, and the operator, the prompt will come up and tell you to hit 1. If you do *61 and do it really quickly, it will ignore it. So you need to wait just a split second because it's a prompt.
Yeah, that's a great point. I think that's the issue that we've had in the past. And for those of you that are regulars, we thank you. This call today, the format is always open forum. We want to help you with your issues, answer your questions, share wins with each other. This call may be a little bit different. We did invite quite a few people. I did a radio show a couple days ago. We invited people that may have been on that radio show. And we've also invited people that have visited our public Facebook page, but for whatever reason, they haven't committed to join us yet. So we may have quite a few guests on this call. And we also find on these calls that a large majority of the people are just getting started. You know, our most successful agents sometimes are out there too busy taking listings to come back for the calls. So don't feel like there's a bad question. Don't feel like there's anything that's too basic to ask. Please feel free. We want questions, we want comments, we want input from you guys. So again, hit *6, wait for the prompt, and then hit 1. And then, Tim, any news that you want to share with the group before we get to our first question?
Oh, let's see. Yeah, there are a couple things. First off, we've added a new feature on the website that we just turned on midweek, and that's a calendar function. So that if you get confused about, because we're continuing to add event-oriented things so that we continue to add more support, and we put a calendar up that kind of shows you what's going on every day, if there's an event that day, and a link back to tell you where to call and how to get in touch with us or where we're going to be. We've got an upcoming event, which I'm sure Jim and Chad will talk about in Atlantic City next week, where we'll be exhibiting at Triple Play, and anything that we've got going on in the course of a month is always going to appear on that calendar. So if you happen to, lose track of whatever it is, or you hang out under a rock for a couple of weeks and want to get back and talk to your friends here at All the Leads, just click on the calendar and you'll see what's going on in our world.
Excellent. Yeah, again, Triple Play, those of you that aren't familiar, it's a kind of a mini NAR conference in Atlantic City every year. It's the Triple Play is in New York, New Jersey, and Ohio Association of Realtors, and it's about 20,000 people show up. So we're going to have a booth in the back of the room, booth number 940, right across from the exhibitor area. So please, if you are going to be there, stop by and see us. And we probably are going to take our show on the road a little bit more this year. So we'll be going to more and more conventions. And as Tim said, that'll always be posted in our calendar when something like that is coming up. Chad, anything you want to share? Our trainer extraordinaire?
I will repeat again, so for anyone that would come on late, if you missed the role play call yesterday, that and all of these mastermind calls, all 53 of them so far, are archived on Facebook on our All the Leads Mastermind group. So if you're not part of that group, just ask to join, and if you're a member, we'll let you in. We just finished up the November probate mastery group training, and I think we had 10 people that earned their CPE certificate this month. And the December class will start on the 14th. So it's the probate mastery is 3 sessions. They'll be on the 14th, the 21st, and the 28th, I believe, are the dates. So for our subscribers, watch your email. I'll send those dates out and a reminder so you can get signed up for the December probate mastery class.
Excellent. All right, perfect. So let's, guys, in the next 20 minutes or so, it's all yours. Please ask some questions, make some comments. There's no question that's off base or off limits. We want to hear your feedback. I'm assuming that Bud Thompson is the person in queue, so let me just verify that. Bud, is that you? Area code 402?
Yeah, that's me, Bud Thompson here in Omaha.
Awesome. If I could just give a little prelude, Bud was on the role play call yesterday, and he was really nice enough to share with us his experience thus far. And one of the reasons I thought it was really important to come on this call and share, if you guys have been on previous calls, we've had a dozen or more agents come on and say, I sent out 100 letters, got 5 listings right away, and, this is great, easiest business I ever got. We've had a lot of those kind of examples. And we've had as many people like Bud that it took them a while to kind of jumpstart it and get going. And I sometimes feel if we give you too many instant success stories, some of you that don't catch fire right away may get a little bit discouraged. So I wanted, Bud, I'll just turn it over to you. If you just tell them what you basically shared with us on yesterday's call.
Okay. 2 days ago, I got my 3rd list, so I've been in this, just about 3 months. And the first month, I started like October 6th, and I stumbled off at the beginning because the list actually appeared instantly within a day, and I was expecting it to come 2 or 3 weeks later, and it was a couple weeks before I got past the stumbling around after chewing out Jim Sullivan and him straightened me back out. But anyway, so I just, instead of making a mailing on the first list, I just picked up the phone like I'd been taught in Keller Williams' BOLD program, et cetera, and started calling these people. And one of the first 2 or 3 calls was a very friendly guy with an Omaha area code, but he was living in Houston. And he wanted me to email some information down, so I sent down a little bit of a pre-listing package. I also have a trifold brochure on probates that I sent him by email. And then after that was 5 weeks ago when that happened, and for 5 weeks I'd call, and he'd block the call. And so I'd leave a little message asking if the family's ready to do something and if they need some help, and never had a response. And I popped a couple email reminders weekly. I had plugged him into my top producer, so I'd give him a weekly nudge. And 2 days ago, what is today? Thursday? Yeah, Tuesday night, the same day I got my 3rd list of leads. He calls up, he's acting like my best friend, and wants me to go out and meet his brother at the house. So I did on Tuesday night. The brother's been instructed to make keys for me. Today we're talking through the CMA and figuring out how to price it, and we'll put it on the market probably tomorrow at about $325. I was thinking closer to $400, but probably about $325 tomorrow, and it'll probably sell between now and Christmas. So it started out hard. I did some stumbling and didn't understand what was happening at the beginning, and you guys helped me along with that. Both Chad and Jim helped me along with that, and I've kind of tweaked how I make my phone calls. Now it's a matter of hurry up, get this listing on, and make the calls from the list that came in 2 days ago and get the mailing out. Second list I got was a month ago, and I had 101 probates in it, and I sent out the letter and had no responses, but I'm going to send it out again. I've been calling those people also. So, it's a matter, it's like you guys kept telling me, just hang with it and do the process. That's what's encouraging, is just do the process. Of course, I'm like the vulture on a tree branch. I don't have patience. I'm gonna kill something. So I start calling, and I like just making the phone calls because they're very cordial calls, And Chad's helped me a lot with that and the demeanor of how you make that call. And you know, so far I've only had one result, one good lead come out of what I figure. I had about I've been through about 159 probates, and I've talked to 48, and I've gotten one listing. But I'll take it at 300,000, 325,000. I'll take it, and keep snagging them. See if I can get it up to 2 or 3 a month instead of one a month. That's it in a nutshell.
Thank you so much. I think you shared that you'd spent about 9 hours on the phone, basically, before you got your first. And one of the reasons I really wanted you to share is we have way too many agents that order the leads for a month and they don't get instantaneous results and they get discouraged. And you hung in there. And this process, there will be some markets and there will be many cases where, like I said, we've had people just catch fire, and there's probably just as many people like you that just have to hang in there. This process does have a cumulative effect. People grieve at different levels and at different intervals, and you will get calls a year later from somebody you sent a letter to that just couldn't bring themselves to go through mom and dad's stuff, and a year later they go through it and they give you a call. So the more you hang in there, and the more you're going to get results. But I think you said you've had numerous other good conversations. Just you have a lot of people that just aren't quite ready to do anything yet. Is that accurate?
Well, I've out of 48 people that I've talked to, I think I bumped into like 25 or 24 who had property out of 48. So about a half of the people that I get a hold of have property, but in a lot of cases it was already resolved. Or as like Chad suggested, they may have been bluffing me, and I'll keep them on my mailing list to repeat the letters to them.
Yeah.
But it's hard. It's uncomfortable for me to push them very hard. If they're grieving or something, I'll just take them for their word. If they say they've taken care of the property, I just say thanks for your time and I bail off. But with some of the texts I'm getting or some of the scripts I'm getting from Chad, I'm getting a little more progress there. I think I'm working on it. I'm practicing more, and I'll probably pick up a few of those people that are bluffing.
Thank you. And one thing we mentioned on the call yesterday, too, there's nowhere in the country this doesn't work. There are markets where, like in South Florida here, I never ran into anyone, almost never ran into anyone that had already sold the property. There's areas like yours where it seems like a percentage of them have sold. Chad, I think you said in your market, by the time you talked to the people, about 25% of them have sold, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you attribute that to what Bud said was the fact that they were proactive and they probably listed the property before the death, correct?
Yep, that's 9 out of 10 that I talked to. They were basically disposing of assets to pick up Medicare, Medicaid or Medicare payments.
Gotcha.
Or they just knew that mom or dad, wouldn't be coming home, and they just were proactive and did it, through a power of attorney before the death ever occurred.
Yeah. Chad, you made a great point on yesterday's call. I think you compared this to FSBOs, where you said it's not like FSBOs where 100% of them want to sell and 100 agents are calling them. But the nice thing with these leads, when you get somebody that does want to sell, you've got absolutely no competition. So it just requires in a lot of cases, it requires the patience that Bud showed. So, and Bill Byrd, I unmuted you too. You had a fairly similar experience, right?
Yeah. In California, they a lot of properties in trust, and there's the power of sale right in the trust. So all they have to do is file the death certificate, and they're on the market next day. And I'd say that's about 30% of the people that get together. A lot of time, that's the only asset, or the family doesn't get along, and they just want to get through it.
Gotcha. And Bill, it took you. I think you had shared with us. You were trying this for about 2 years before you started using our system.
Yeah. So I was doing this full 2 years, and then in that time I did I did two transactions, and then the first 4 months I really didn't get any action, and then all of a sudden I got 4. And what was great was 3 out of those 4 were cash deals, and then I'm going on my 6th one in escrow, and then I just put my 7th one on the market. But I really want to go back to what you guys were talking about earlier. I was telling Chad that I love fishing, and it's like you're just putting these leads in you're stocking a pond with bass, with fish, and the longer you're in it, eventually something's going to happen. And I had talked to this family back in March, and then I talked to him in April, and then I didn't hear from him for a while, and I just sent him a little follow-up card, and they happened to live in England, which I didn't know, and they called me and they said they want to list with me, and they want to sell it in June, and would I be kind enough to give a notice to the tenant? And I said, absolutely, I just need to send you the listing agreement. So I DocuSigned the listing agreement. They sent me the trust documents, and I just delivered the letter the other day. And it was a very cordial conversation. It was, I call expireds, for sale by owners, NODs, all the time. I've yet to have a really bad conversation with anybody. I've had one or two that said, we're still grieving, please give us some time. And so I called them 90 days later, and it's never really been a bad conversation.
Yeah, that's a great point. And the agents that don't get started, their biggest fear is that somebody's going to get upset with them, for ambulance chasing, and that never comes up, because the point I always make, you're talking to someone usually cross country, and typically it'll be one of a handful of family members, and this person you're talking to is the one that got put in charge. He or she is only getting an equal share of the proceeds, but they're responsible to their siblings or to their other family members. They're generally, I found the same thing, that they're extremely glad to hear from somebody that can help them. And Bill, I know you you had your team in place already by the time you started this, as far as your affiliates, right?
Yes, the first time I talked to Chad, I thought, wow, I died and went to heaven, because I had everything together, and Chad and I, we say it differently, but we both believe in value first. So I had assembled my team. The other thing that this sets you up, especially with baby boomers, is to start contacting care facilities, because a lot of time the care facility will admit them knowing that they have assets to sell, and many times it's a home, so they can put you in touch with the family to help assisting the home, and normally the family doesn't live in town, so they really want somebody that offers all those services.
Great idea. Excellent idea. Please, guys, *6 and then wait for the prompt and then hit 1. We don't have any questioners in the queue, and we've got a tremendous turnout today. I suspect y'all are relatively new agents, but somebody else must have there we go. We got 3 people instantly that have questions. Thank you. Hey, Bill, thank you. I'm going to leave you. Wow, we got 5 people. I'm going to leave you unmuted, Bill. Same thing with you, Bud, in case anybody who has questions now has any questions for you guys. I'm going to leave you unmuted. All right, our next questioner. You are up, or is that Bill? Area code 415-845.
No, that's me. I'm Stan.
Hey, Stan.
Hey, morning.
Morning.
Interesting point that I was just kind of hearing from Bill, but I didn't quite grasp the whole concept. He was saying something about contacting the care homes, and they can give you some leads. Is that what I was hearing?
Yeah, they normally have a sales force, and a majority of the time, I shouldn't say a majority, but there's definitely people that come there that need to sell their home to be able to afford the care facility, and a lot of time they'll front the money based on the asset they have. So the salesperson will put you in touch with the family. They can't guarantee you the business, but they can at least give you the name.
No, of course not. Nobody can guarantee. So at a care home, what would the name of the individual be, the role of the person?
Typically the program coordinator.
Yeah, it's the program normally, which is another way of saying the salesperson.
Got it. Okay, excellent. Good lead, good tip. Appreciate it.
You know, a related tip that we've had a number of our agents tell us when they brought an estate liquidation company on board, the estate liquidation company said, "Hey, we like working with you. We have people call us to sell, you know, to buy antiques and furniture. Do you want referrals?" So, you know, gosh, have a reciprocal agreement with whoever you bring on as part of your team as far as the estate liquidation company to make sure that they're sending you business too. And the same thing. What's that, Chad? Go ahead.
No, that was Stan. I was just saying, got it. I mean,
Yeah.
great concept. You're right. The relationships is a big part that can really drive a lot of traffic to you.
100%. Thanks. Anything else, Stan, or is that it?
No, that was it. Thank you.
Thank you. We got a ton of people. We love these questions. Area code 941. You're up.
Yeah, hi. This is Joshua Blank in the Sarasota, Florida area.
Hey, Josh.
Hey, thanks for having me. Love the program. I had a similar story with Chad, like really hate calling for sale by owners and expireds. I think it's kind of a joke. Everybody who's coaching and training out there is hyping everybody up on the same exact thing, and it's just so overdone. So probate has been a breath of fresh air. My letter dropped a couple of days ago. I got a couple of calls already, and I've been making outbound calls, which is great. We're a little sensitive to the DNC down here, so I've been kind of, cautiously avoiding the do not call list. So that's somewhat limiting the amount of calls I can make. But the people that aren't on the DNC, I've been reaching out and fairly well receptive. I just keep the conversation very kind of monotone, and I'm not real excited. I'm not acting like I'm selling. I'm just saying, hi, this is Josh with Remax. I just wanted to touch base. I saw that you're the executor. I work for a firm that buys assets in the state of Florida, and that's been pretty well received. A couple people have hit me with, we're not ready. A couple people have hit me with, it's none of your business. How did you get this information? And one woman called me and said, I really think this is wrong. You're digging through a graveyard. And at least I was prepared for that because Chad had basically said, listen, you're going to get that person. Match them emotionally and try to diffuse as much as you can. This particular woman happened to hang up, but my question is basically in a situation like that, how do you guys feel about sending like a personal letter after the fact and saying, Mrs. Jones, I just wanted to let you know, here's my story. My grandparents had passed and they had a house. I drove my crew, 800 miles to rehab a house and was able to save my mother and uncle somewhere around $50,000 by doing a small rehab for them. So really, we wanted to provide value and really help people. This isn't I'm certainly not trying to dig through a graveyard. I'm really trying to help people. What do you think about something like that? Is that going too far? Just drop the lead, or would you go that extra step and say, listen,
Hey Chad, I got this one.
That's the exercise. Okay.
So Chad and I were working out testimonials, and so what I had is on my fourth letter, I have this story about walking into a probate sale, and my clients really liked the house. He had his checkbook in hand. They were super excited. The bottom line, they didn't buy the house, and then I went ahead and itemized the reasons about the things that had gone wrong on it. That has been my most powerful letter, is a true story. And it's kind of long, and I was thinking people wouldn't read it, but they definitely read it because I get more calls on that than I do anything else.
Awesome. That's great to know. I mean, that's something I might incorporate into the template is a kind of personalized letter.
And Josh, you mentioned the do not call. Did you get my response to your email about the do not call?
I did, and I love it. Basically, Jim was saying, this is public record. They're kind of putting themselves out there to be contacted. I responded to you with, if somebody's listed as a for sale by owner and you have a buyer, which we all do because we all know investors, you can contact them. Now, I don't know if it goes so far as to the case where they're not listing themselves as by owner, but I think that does kind of lend to the case where, we have buyers. So we're not just, completely soliciting for a listing. We are trying to work on the behalf of investor clients that I'm sure we all have.
Exactly. And Tim, you had a comment on that, correct?
Yeah, it's really just about the letters, and I appreciated what they said about customizing. And be aware that the letters that we prepare and do for you, you may, and in fact, we encourage you to personalize them in any way that you want and add testimonials and add content. Make those letters yours, and we'll be happy to get them out for you any way that you want. And of course, you can do it yourself. But if we're doing them for you, be aware that you don't have to stick to what's there. We give them to you as examples for editing, and we're constantly looking at them and adding more, and we will be adding more over time, but feel free to modify them. You're not stuck with what's there. Those are recommended copy, and we want you to change it.
Excellent. Yeah, make it your own. All right, thank you. We got a ton of people with questions. Anything else?
That was it from me. Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. All right, area code 831. I know that's California. You're up.
Hi, my name is Sandy Wallace, and I have talked to Bill Byrd. Hi, Bill.
Hi.
And I have sent out my first letter and have 10 leads from you. I have done, inherited homes or probates before, just by being a realtor for 20 years. But I'm wondering what kind of is the executor or the PR person that I'm trying to contact a trustee, executor, or we don't know?
Well, it depends on how they hold title. So if it's in California, it's either going to be an executor, and that's somebody that has the traditional will, or it's going to be the trustee or the trustor who is managing the trust. What's great about all the leads is that if it's being managed by the county because they passed away intestate or they don't have any heirs or whatever the reason is, it says the address, phone number of the public administrator. And what happened to me was I sent a letter to the public administrator, just my normal letter, and I got a probate deal. They called me, they interviewed me. I had been on the list for a long time. And off my letter, they called me, and actually that probate's on the market right now.
Nice. And so it's kind of a formal letter to the public administrators, not, you don't have to.
Well, my letter was my one letter explaining the services I offer. I do it differently than Chad. I explain the services first, then I bring the cash investor in, then on my third letter I kind of do a shorter version of the first two, and then my fourth letter is a story.
Yeah, Bill, thank you. You shared all those letters with me right away, and I customize them and use them myself, and I have my own story on the fourth letter. I wonder what you think about sending the fourth letter, the second letter.
I'm sorry, say that again?
If you would send the fourth letter as the second letter, is that too soon for a story? Or?
Yeah, please do that, and I would really preach an email and tell me if that works better.
Okay. Yeah.
Sandy, did you say you got 10 leads from your first mailing?
Yeah. I mean, I got, 10 leads for my first mailing.
Great. That's awesome.
Yeah. Well, my list was 10 leads.
Oh, I'm sorry. So you're in a county that you don't get many leads. I thought you got 10 prospective listings.
I'm in Santa Cruz. It's very little, and I am thinking of, I don't know, maybe expanding and taking. It's so big, Santa Clara, and I'll talk to you about that maybe.
Yeah,
offline.
We've had a lot of agents will start if they're faced with 2 or 3 counties, they'll start with the most affordable one, have some success, and then expand out. And that's not a bad strategy. So.
Well, it's where I live, and
yeah. All right. Well, thank you. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Thanks. That's it.
No, I didn't mean to cut you off. Did you have any other questions, Sandy?
Not really. I just wanted to say hi and thank you so much.
Thank you. We've got a few people in the queue, so let's make sure we get to them all. Area code 805. You are up.
Hey, this is Rick. I want to thank you for. I just signed up. I haven't really gone through the videos, but that's something I'm doing this week, is to learn the process. And I've just kind of been thinking about what really to mail out. I know you guys have templates, but how can I get a hold of maybe the two gentlemen that are online right now that, they have their personalized stuff, and maybe I can get a good idea from that?
Bill, do you want to post it on the Facebook group?
Oh, I go on Facebook.
Yeah, that's fine.
So we can
copies of them.
And as far as
post
how
an example of Bill's story letter.
As far as how to get a hold of all of us, if any of you aren't members of, you should be going to our public Facebook page, but more importantly, join our private Facebook group, because you could just go on there and find, and basically find everybody. And Tim had a comment about the website, but first, Chad, tell them how to join the Facebook group, the private Facebook group.
If you're a member, there's a link in subscriber resources all the way at the bottom that will take you right to the page. Or you can go to Facebook, and in the top search bar, just type in All the Leads Mastermind and request access, and we'll let you in.
Yeah, you can pose a question on that. Like, I heard you on the last call, Bill. Do you mind sharing this with me? It's kind of an informal way, but it's an effective way to be able to communicate with each other. And then, Tim, you had a comment about that coming with the website?
Well, just what Chad was saying, that, we have all that stuff on our website, and we'll continue to add additional information there. And as we get new letters, I said before, we'll start adding to our templates. We put them up on the site when they're available for instant reproduction, and we have several more that are sort of in the queue to get added. So we'll continue to do that and add more content as we go. And I'm anxious to look at Bill's number 4 letter and see what that's got in it as well. And we'll probably add that as an additional option.
Excellent. All right, we have one more questioner, and the timing is perfect. We try to get you out of here in a half hour. We may run just a few minutes over this time, but let's go with our last person that's in the queue. If there's any other last-minute questions, hit *6, wait for the prompt, and then hit 1. Area code 516. I think that's New York. You're up.
Hey, Jim, it's Renee. We spoke yesterday. How are you?
Hey, Renee. Welcome. Excellent.
Good. Actually, I got like 3 questions.
Okay.
First of all, anybody having any luck contacting executors or fiduciaries through social media? Number 2, are attorneys more of an asset or a hindrance in the process?
Okay.
And then lastly, the websites that come with the program, are they set up for SEO, or is that something that we're going to need to do ourselves?
Perfect. Let me answer number 2 first, and then I'll defer to my other partners for the other 2. Contacting the attorneys, when you get your leads, if you get 100 probates, you're probably going to look down the list and see anywhere from 5 to 10 attorneys that are doing the lion's share of them. It's a great. What's that?
Or more.
Or more. We always recommend you do not need the attorney's permission to list the property. Reach out to the executor first. Get the property listed, but then by all means, like Bill said, it's more in his area. When you see an attorney doing multiple deals, give him a call and say, hey, I notice you specialize in probate, so do I. Do you have a go-to agent that you recommend? And it's a harder relationship to build, but we've had 4 or 5. We've got Paul Hayhurst in Florida. His first month, I think he got 6 listings, and he noticed that several of them were the same attorney. 2 conversations with an attorney, he made friends with that attorney. He's getting 2 or 3 referrals a month from the attorney now. So that is a great way to work, the back end of the data.
Yeah.
But I personally recommend, though, for the individual listing, get it listed first. You don't need the attorney's permission. Then reach out to the attorney by all means and introduce yourself. And Chad, Chad or Tim, you want to handle the one about the website and the social media, Chad?
Well, I'll handle the website piece of this, and Chad, you can speak to social media a little bit. The website is set up as a website using WordPress, and it's very search engine friendly. All the meta tags and some of the other things that would normally populate it are not done because they're basically done to be more customized for you. And that's something we can, if you sign up for it, we'll certainly take that offline and have some conversation with you about it. But you have the ability to do that if you choose. If you want us to do it for you, we can certainly engage and help you do that. And Chad, you want to talk about the social media piece?
Yeah. So nobody, we haven't really trained anybody, or I don't know anybody that's trying to reach executors through social media. But if you have an assistant or somebody that could do that, that could basically search each and every name on your list and come up with those profiles, I think it could be effective. I mean, it's another way of reaching out to those folks. Something that we're working on in 2016, we hope to have a source of valid email addresses. So when we get email addresses, so let's say you have a list of 100 people, there's a way to create a custom audience on Facebook where you could actually advertise directly to the executors. And that would be a way more efficient and effective way of doing the marketing. So when we get email addresses, if you want, I can spend some time with you and show you how to set up those ad sets. But right now it would kind of be a manual skip trace. You'd have to look for Jane Doe in the town that matches the address we give you, and hope that that's the right Jane Doe when you reach out.
And we've actually included the email as a field on the forms, or on the data that we collect. But the county records data typically does not include that information, and so we don't get it as part of our normal data collection process.
That's a coming attraction too. We hope to be able to eventually provide good quality emails for you, but that's quarter.
Hey Jim, I would like to answer the gentleman's question about attorneys, or give a little more detail. One is, anybody on this call is welcome to call me at 415-559-5660. But attorneys are definitely your end goal, because now I have 3 attorneys, and I haven't gotten any probates out of them yet, but I've gotten divorces from them, and they love the fact that they can call one person and you can take care of everything for them.
Great point. Yeah, very good point.
And you do have some attorneys that don't want your services because they want to charge $500 an hour to manage putting it on the market, getting the house cleaned out. There are those attorneys, but attorneys that are highly efficient, that do law, that like law, they don't want to manage anything, and they love the services that are offered, and it's value first, just like Chad always says. And I think that's a bonus resource that really, instead of looking at like you're getting one lead, you're really getting 2 leads with almost every single lead that you're getting, especially in California.
Well, that's great, Bill. And Bill, thank you. Bill is not one of the owners of the company. He has been our most generous agent with his time, and just the fact that you're willing to put your personal phone number out there is remarkable. So we appreciate it, and I'm sure people will respect your time. You're a busy, productive agent. You're not always going to be able to get right back to them, but thank you for being willing to do that. Hey, guys, with your permission, we're going to take this call another 5 minutes because we do have another question in the queue. And this has been one of our best calls as far as participation. I don't want to leave anybody out. So let's go to our last questioner for today. Area code 831, you're up last. No pressure.
Yeah, no, I was, this is Sandy Wallace. Again,
oh, hey, Sandy.
Just wanted to say that I'd be happy to share my 4th letter, with the story letter. And what do you guys think of having your return address on the envelope? Does it matter? And just to have an address, not really a company and a name, just somewhere where they might return the letter to see if it's even going to the right address.
So I tracked my first 4,000 pieces of mail, and in the first 4,000 letters, I received 6 back. And so I then took the return address off because I was only getting 6 out of 4,000. It wasn't like I was, needed to have it returned. And my response actually went up a little bit when I took the return off. And I think, in my market, and I get greeting card envelopes with postcards from Dish Network and DirecTV, so they're catching on to the direct mail tactics. They always have a return address, and I think it made a difference for me, and slightly better response rate without the return address. So it just looks like, a greeting card. Another idea is you may actually just make some cheap, are you doing your own mail or are we doing your mail?
You're doing it.
Okay.
Just the first one, only 10 letters.
I mean, you could split test it and see if it makes a difference in your market. It did make a slight difference for me.
And I can chime in on that as well. We've heard, we do mailings for a lot of our customers, and we've had customers who've asked us to put that on there, and we have the same conversation Chad just did, and we've done some testing, and to date, no one has ever said, yeah, make sure you put those on the next time. They usually come back and say, don't bother to do it anymore. And the truth of it is, it really doesn't seem to change it, and I suspect it does get a slightly better open rate because it looks more personal, and that's the intent of those letters. It doesn't look very business-like. It looks like a personal note.
Yeah, I really appreciate because they sent me one too, and that was just a question.
You're talking about the fact that we send you a copy of the letter that goes out. Is that what you meant?
You did that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we always do that. That way, when you get that letter, it's time to start making the phone calls because you're in your market and you know that all of your recipients have gotten their mail as well. So that's why we do it.
I appreciate that.
Hey, guys, Thank you so much. Yeah, we ran over. I appreciate your patience. Phenomenal turnout. And I would say all of you, there's a number of people that are on this call that are not yet subscribers. And like I said, we're taking our show on the road. We're going to Atlantic City next week. We are really growing. There's only one opportunity to be the first agent in your market. So please, if you have any additional questions, you guys know how to reach me. Call me anytime, 954-584-0000. And any of you that are going to be in Triple Play, please come find us next week in Atlantic City. For the rest of you that are subscribers, and really for all of you, I always challenge at the end of this call, take one idea, one thing that inspired you, one nugget of information, take it out and put it into use this week. And please come back next week and let the group know how you did. Share your successes with the group. I thank you so much for your time. You guys have a great week, and we'll talk to you next Thursday.